This lesson is about dividing integers. We're going to start out reading some word problems, drawing a picture of the counters, and then our expression that represents that problem. And then we'll finish up by finding the answer. This is very, very similar to the previous lesson, multiplying integers. So you're probably going to start noticing some of the same rules emerging. So it says, Lisa removes 6 positive counters from a bag. She needed to share her counters equally with 2 other people. How many and what type of counters will each person receive? So she removed 6 counters from her bag, and they were positive. Lisa shared with 2 other people, meaning Lisa and 2 people get counters, so there's 3 total. That means that we need to split these guys in 3 groups. So how much is going to be in each group? 2 positive counters. So what we've done is taken positive 6 and divided it into 3 groups, which gave us positive 2 as our answer. Let's try another one. Peter removed 8 positive counters from a bag. He needed to share his counters equally with 1 other person. How many and what type of counters will each person receive? So there's 8 counters, 2 people, Peter and his friend, are getting counters, which means we need 2 groups. So we are going to have 4 in each group. So 8 has been divided into 2 groups, which means there is 4 in each group. Now, so far we've only dealt with positive counters, so of course our answers were positive. However, 1 is going to remove 8 negative counters. And he's going to share those equally with 7 other people, which means 1 and 7 people, that is 8 people total. So we are taking this and splitting it into 8 groups, which means negative 8 has been divided into 8 groups, which gives me -1. Martha's removing 10 negative counters. And Martha is going to share hers equally with 1 other person, which means Martha gets this many, and that 1 other person gets this many. So we've got -10 counters divided into 2 groups is -5. Excuse me. Now thinking back to yesterday, when there were 2 positives, our answer came out positive. 2 positives, answer came out positive. When there was only 1 negative, what did our answer come out? Negative. Do you notice anything the same? This is also going to be true if we were to do 8 divided by -8. How many negatives are there? 1. So your answer is negative. Okay. So let's look at our rules. So again, they are the same as yesterday. So if you have a positive divided by a positive, that's no negatives. So your answer has to be positive. If you have a positive and a negative, there's only 1 negative there, so your answer is negative. A negative and a positive, again, only 1 negative, so your answer is a negative. A negative and a negative takes 2 negatives to make a positive, which means your answer is positive. So as you can see from these fact families, which we will fill in just a second, these are the reasons that the rules relate. 3 times 4 is the same thing as 4 times 3. They both give you 12. So if you take 12 and divide it by 4, you get 3. If you take 12 and divide it by 3, you get 4. The same thing applies with negatives. -3 times 2 is the same thing as 2 times -3. So when you take -6 and divide it by 2, you get -3. When you take -6 and divide it by 3, you get +2. Okay, because it was 2 times -3 to get -6. That's why the same rules apply. 2 negatives make a positive. 2 negatives, positive. 1 negative, negative. So on this one, we've got -2 times -5 is 10. So 10 divided by -5 would have to be -2. Notice, 1 negative, so my answer was negative. 1 negative, so my answer is negative. On the next one, we have negative 2 times negative 4 is positive 8, which means 8 divided by negative 4, 1 negative. Your answer is negative. 8 divided by negative 2, again, 1 negative, so your answer is negative. So let's practice just a few more. 5 divided by 1 is 5, but there's only one negative, so my answer is negative. 6 divided by 3 is 2. Only one negative, so my answer is negative. No negatives at all, so 6 divided by 1 is 6. No negatives at all, so 24 divided by 4 is 6. 0 divided into 3 groups. If you had nothing, and you divided that into 3 groups, that means each person gets nothing. 3 divided by 0 cannot happen, so it doesn't exist. And you'll learn more about that a little bit later. 10 divided by 2, no negatives, so your answer is positive. 3 divided by 3, no negatives, answer is positive. Negative 2 divided by negative 2, 2 negatives make a positive, and 2 divided by 2 is 1. So that's the end of our lesson today. Please complete your assignment that is posted in your answer booklet or in your workbook.